Hi all, this is Paras. Namaste to all of you. So, on the occasion of World International Women's Day, I love to share with you 8 powerful women in the field of coaching who have been doing their work inspiring people locally and globally. Yes, 8 powerful faces. So in this video, I'm going to talk to them, want to hear their stories, want to hear their success, want to hear their dreams, and also the strengths, what took them from just not inspiring self, but transforming communities at their own capacity. So are you interested to know and learn more about them? Yes, let's go for it.
An internationally recognized executive and leadership coach, and a master certified coach with ICF, Cindy is passionate about all things in coaching and how coaching is evolving and growing to meet the needs of leadership, business, and social progress. She has extensive experience in coaching in organizations, facilitating masterclasses and learning spaces globally, and loves mentor coaching and evaluating. She is a master at artful conversations, using a holistic approach to bring higher awareness level, transformation, and steps to successful change. She has held prestigious roles such as President of ICF South Africa Chapter 2017-18, leading and contributing to the ICF South Africa Chapter, winning Higher Performance Award at the Global Leaders Forum in Vancouver in 2018. Cindy is currently busy with her PhD in Applied Leadership and Coaching. So let's meet Cindy today and know more about her success stories on the occasion of International Women's Day.
Hi Cindy, namaste to you. And on the occasion of World International Women's Day, I would love to wish you, and yes, you've been a mentor, coach supervisor, trainer, inspiring coaches through locally, globally, everywhere. In fact, I had personally experienced you in my journey of my life in coaching, and also in different parts of my life, I've been connected with you. So, very curious to check with you, Cindy. What's your story? Share with me, help me out. Who inspired you? What's your story like?
So many different pieces to that, Paris, I'll pick one. So, what inspired my business? So there was something inside me that thought, okay, when I became a coach, I'd start a business. And I didn't consider any aspects like goals or anything at that point. I just knew I wanted to start a business, and there was something stirring inside me that was quite energetic, and I had no idea what that something is. As time went along, I defined it with an inner knowing or an inner feeling or an inner sense and an intuition, but it was so strong that I couldn't deny it. And I thought, okay, I'd start a business. And I registered one, started a business, and the thing that I did, which now seemed to have worked, is consistently put one step forward or one step at a time into evolving, changing, moving forward as the business space was doing so. So I still don't have a business plan because I still don't know what that looks like in an evolving space. But you know what I found that by paying attention in that moment to what was needed and taking quick actions around that, or taking some quick short-term, long-term actions, that worked.
Wow. And I really like the word that you talked about. You believed in your intuition. And I really want to know about, I read in many books, and I've been hearing a lot of lectures about women are very powerful with their intuition. What is your take on the same? And
what is intuition for a woman, or what is intuition for you, Cindy, when you took a big risk? We took a risk for being an entrepreneur and being a very successful entrepreneur today.
Yeah, I did take some risks. I say strong intuition, I was reframing from using this word powerful. Because sometimes powerful just remains in a quiet moment. And then I don't know how to define power because it's so quiet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to myself, is that what it is? A quiet space where you can really pay attention to what's going on inside you in context of the environment around you. And I think I could do that quite well. Now, having said I do that quite well, there were many times I said to myself, I could have done that better, I could have reached out better, I could have approached it better. But the better was only in hindsight because I think at that moment I did my best. For what was available in business, I did my best. And I think that for me alludes to an intuitive space where you're still stepping forward, giving up your best, and taking a little bit of risks that come with that.
And there's a constant voice in the head which talks about taking that risk and believing in your intuition. Okay, so with intuition, yes, you're going to a place where you're taking a risk all by your own, and there's another part of a person where it says that, okay, this is predefined based on the role, or predefined based on how you need to lead your life. Okay, so what is your take on when you say that there's a lot of risk involved believing in your intuition? As a woman, it's very important for me to hear from your story, like you being a woman, and there's so many women around that I interact and who are watching you. What is the true sense for being a woman and listening to your intuition and taking that risk? Because many women today are struggling, not even able to reach their intuitive spaces.
I know I struggled because all around me there were people talking about this is years ago. And years ago there was the idea that a business was defined by a particular set of rules. Like somebody had a handbook on what businesses should look like. Small business, I'm talking about small businesses. And it was always, you've got to do this and you've got to have that. You've got to have a proper plan in place, you've got to have a strategic approach, you've got to have that. Honestly, I used to feel like I was hiding some secret where I didn't have that. And when people partook in that conversations, I shied away or kept silent because I thought, oh, this is not for me. They got something far more powerful that I don't. I don't have this, so I'll just keep quiet and stay in the background. But I realized that was just a method of downplaying, And if I was going to do that, it was not going to serve me in any way. So I began to find my voice around that. And I wouldn't argue about it. Don't think that I did, because I didn't argue. But what I did do, where I found my value as a business owner and as a woman, is when I started approaching, or when I started being invited into big projects for work-related purposes, coaching projects. And I went into one particular tendering process where, honestly, I was like the littlest fish swimming in this big pond of big corporates. But I really gave off my best. I was talking about always just giving off your best for that moment. So when I did the proposal, I knew I'd given off more than my best. It was like 3 or 4 days of night and day working on this. And in that room, amongst, in that room of all people entering this tender and getting shortlisted, I got shortlisted and I began to wonder what is going on here, because I felt these men in suits were the ones that should have got this. They were the smarter ones, talking the right language. Gosh, I didn't even have a language at that time for this or the kind of questions or asking didn't even get into my head. But when I was shortlisted to the last three, and eventually was in an interview process, was kind of, I found that the right answers began to emerge from me based on the work I had done. I realized at that point my essence as a woman. I realized that downplaying does not serve us in any way, and we won't know until we test the waters. And if we are testing it like a little fish in a big pond, so be it. That's the test that stands at that moment. So be it. Go with that flow. Because I can tell you at every step of the way I wanted to pull off. Because I didn't know. I felt I didn't know. But I was basing I didn't know on what others in the room knew.
Mm-hmm.
Not on mine, right? It was like, oh, I'm listening to you. I never thought of that. But if I based it on what I knew, then I would have not gone through that process of feeling like I didn't know. And in the end, of course, I was really thrilled, overjoyed, delighted that I had won that project. And when I think back, I won the tender, and when I think back, it was based on how well I had worked the proposal, perhaps how well I had appropriately answered the questions to see the movement or progress of that proposal, and of course many other elements. But I showed up. This is the message I'd like to give. I showed up the best that I could in that moment, and I think that is enough.
So, what I also learned from when you're saying this is the self-belief, the self-concepts, what people think, or particularly women think about themselves, they have to really deep dive within themselves and find the true sense of what they are, and having that belief with that. Maybe you're a little small fish in a big small pond or a big pond. Maybe you're
Yeah.
growing from there to a big ocean and a big whale, maybe. So, Cindy, my further question
But
to
that's a nice concept. Sorry, Franz, to interrupt you. That's a lovely concept, right? Whether you're a whale. Because even when I became the whale, and there was the men in suits going, oh, she's here, she's gonna get it. She'll get this tender because she arrived. I still didn't think that. I
oh,
still felt like there was a lot of unknowns there, and I still didn't know that I was a whale or anything like that. For me, it always felt like I was a fish, the smaller one, the smaller fish. But I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Perhaps it was good in the sense that I kept growing in this process. And I feel like sometimes I have this kind of switch in my head that when somebody tells me I can't do something, then I got to try harder at getting it done.
mhm.
And being in a very kind of male-dominated space at that time, I think always made me want to try that little bit harder. So I think as women in business, we do that, right? We try a bit harder in order to put our best foot forward. But that doesn't, that concept of a whale, I've never felt it. I felt it inside me, perhaps not on the outside. On the outside, I felt, even when I got this big project, there was all this now unknowns about how I could do my best for making that work.
Mm.
Go ahead, you were going to ask me something.
Yeah, interesting. No, my further question was on the same lines that when you became big, or in the process of whatever you are today, okay,
Yeah.
how were men perception around when you're working with them, or in general in your growing stages? What was your men perception about a woman being an entrepreneur, okay, and doing really best with whatever she is doing in her life?
I think for me at that time, I said this early on, for me at that point, it was very defined by a set of business rules. But I got I'm the business analyst, or I'm an MBA, and these are my rules, and I'm really good at what I do. So it was defined by what was perceived to be the right set of business rules and what applied. And somehow, for me, look, I tried it. I did many business courses and learned all those business approaches, like traditional business approaches. And so it didn't work for me. It still doesn't. I gotta have this kind of what's happening in the moment and how I can be flexible enough to adjust to it and work with it. And I find that gets me kind of the most invited into the most spaces I'd like to be in business. Whether it's working with other women, conferencing, webinar speakers, working with individuals, training, mentoring. So whatever I'm doing, I find that there was an opportunity, or I was invited, or I've got to also say this. If the opportunity didn't knock, then I broke the door anyway and went through it myself. So, because I saw it there and I could just go for it too. But to come back to the question you're asking about men's perception, it was as if I am better because I know more business. And it was very hard for me as a woman to move away from that understanding that no, you may be better at some things, but not everything, to the point that I felt I needed to always, okay, you are doing the right thing and I'm not. And it was a subtle thing. But having said that, like upbringing, as a lot of entrepreneurs, there's a lot of business around me, men and women. So the role models around me was clear enough of how they worked, men and women, how they worked, provided clarity as to when I was being right. I come from a culture that's multifaceted on many levels. So not only we're dealing with cultural elements, but there's race, there's many elements and many dynamics. And it's a maze, Carlos. It's like a maze. And we've got to find ourselves through that maze. And there are times when you get a bit stuck in it, and you don't realize it's until later. And there are times when you can see yourself run clearly through it. This pathway. And I think this word, how resourceful you are as a person, especially as a woman, how resourceful are we? I think that becomes like the essence, How resourceful are you to take the next step forward? And when I look back, I think about women in my family and around me, other families. A lot of them are extremely resourceful. They would have nothing financially, but they'll grow something. And I look at those elements of women growing things, even in their family, how they take care of family. And I think, there's such strength there. And I began to pay attention to what was the thing working to me, to others. I think that became my resource or my light. And I just go ahead, move forward.
So it boils down again to having the self-belief, and it's so very important. Very curious to check with you, Cindy, that you've been being on the leadership role at multiple places, and I also read your LinkedIn profile. You were the past president for ICF South Africa chapter. Just curious to know, how was your experience being as the president, a woman president, and holding the ICF chapter as a whole, which is so huge in South Africa?
I thoroughly embraced that process first. It started off with too many unknowns, but I was so attracted to those unknowns. I so wanted to see what collectively we could do in a space where coaching was fairly new. But there was a lot of coaches around, but the chapter, a national chapter, was new, and what we could collectively do. And I found that many coaches were suddenly attracted to me being on that role, and we're collectively sharing what they want to see happen for the chapter. So there was this lovely collaborative approach, right? This togetherness. In South Africa, we call it Ubuntu. But there was this togetherness approach. So that was one. There was a board that we very quickly grew together in the way we saw a vision approach and a strategic pathway. So we grew together. I'm not saying there were not issues or there were not little conflicts, there were. But even in that, we grew. There was this togetherness. And of course, we had our first regional meeting on African soil, meaning chapter leaders came in from Europe, Middle East, Africa, and we had the global board members and staff come over to South Africa. We had a conference and a EMEA meeting. It opened our world to so much more in an internal space of coaching, together with an external community, and fed off each other in how we grew. So I dived into that space of putting my hand up to be the president, again with some raw enthusiasm.
Wow.
So I knew what I could do, but a lot of it was unknowns and coming from raw enthusiasm. And I take a lot of lessons out of that. I mean, even when we won, when I say of South Africa, I'm so used to saying we when it comes to the community of South Africa, coaching community. And even when the ICF South African chapter won a art performance chapter award.
Wow.
I still didn't know where we were going to. So it was a lot of unknowns for me. And so I went on stage to collect this award totally unprepared. So whatever came out of my mouth was like in that moment, an emergence.
Beautiful. And it sounds so comforting when I'm listening to it, that you've been so open and you've been so courageous to talk about it, and also sharing the bigger concept of self-concept of women, having the self-belief. And I think it's moving from the gender to as humanity, when you have your own belief about what you are and what you want to do. Just on your way of journey, Cindy, how did you build courage while making path-breaking decisions? Because you say you're from South Africa, and out there life is so very different. Culturally, things are different. So how did you handle the situation, or how did you take up that big call?
That wasn't an easy thing first, but there was this. So outwardly it wasn't easy, right? Inwardly it felt easy to me. So it felt easy to me to register a company. It felt easy to kind of put myself out there and what are the opportunities. Outwardly, when the opportunity came, there was a lot of dynamics that showed up that didn't put me in the best platform. Always felt I could, like struggle my way. If there was a maze, I pushed right through it to get to where I want to be seen and put myself forward for the opportunity. So courage, this kind of word again stands out for me, how resourceful I can be, and it's an hindsight word. At that moment, I didn't think that. At that moment, I just thought, what can I do here? And how can I do it, well enough? Even if that thing was just asking a question, how could I do this well enough? So the courage showed up inside of me, I think, as how resourceful can I be as a human being? And I knew that if I got into some kind of a low space, there was enough other women to support me, family and friends. So I think that's a lovely space of being South African. We actually have a lot. Support is easy. Unknown people can support you. That's quite easy. And I think it was having the right people on the other side to do a word of encouragement. So this word courage sounds like a very simple, short word, courage. But I think it's a very collective approach. Something inside you has to connect with some things out there, and this courage begins to grow and show up in a more and more meaningful way.
Beautiful.
So I think it's this dot with connection points, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so Cindy, also there is this perception about women who leads is defined as bossy. How, how do you look at that? I'm sure it's a very direct question to check with a woman, but I'm just curious to know more. That's the perception I've heard, maybe, and I've read people talk about that way, but I want to know your perception on the same. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know me quite well. Do you think I'm bossy?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I think you've given me a lot of space in my life when I was walking through, and I felt personally, it was just. I mean, it's just a word that we hear people because unless I do not know you, so it's just a perception people can build up about women or men.
Yeah, I've been told that I can be bossy.
Mm.
I've been told that I could be quite assertive. I didn't get told that in a compliment. I mean, it didn't sound like a compliment. It came across as bossy, which of course made me examine what I was doing at that moment to be told that. And thank God there were a few moments of that. Just the thing, Paris, I've noticed this from my experience, that when a woman is assertive or as a following, leadership, you can't be a leader without some kind of fellowship, leadership, fellowship.
Absolutely.
Kind of goes. So I wonder about that, because is it a perception, an assumption, or a way of bringing women down by calling them too bossy? So does being assertive in that moment, of having an opinion, does it make you bossy? And I only ask these as rhetorical questions, because I've heard women say that. I mean, I would be really sitting in a conference admiring a particular woman on stage saying something powerful or embracing or empowering. And I would hear comments from men, oh, that looks like she's bossy, or she's, she wears the pants. I think to myself, no, that was a man saying that. You'd shake his hand or you'd high five him. Right? So, is it just a perception because women are not supposed to be assertive?
I like that. What I understand when you say this, being assertive maybe is not the permission from the culture for women because there's a particular way. And I feel today, my experience working with you or generally with many women, I think, or even men, uncomfortable conversation, does that make it bossy? It's a bigger question I ask.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love uncomfortable conversations. I mean, I love to get stuck into it, Not in a big way, but just asking one or two questions around it or sharing something. But I'm not one that would shy away from that uncomfortable conversation. I'll get into it. I like putting my shoulder in versus staying out. And I don't know how that sometimes comes across, comes across as bossy.
I'm not sure. I think it's very assertive for me. And Cindy, I also been coaching a lot of women, and they are in their mid 40s, mid 50s, and maybe some of them are doing their higher education towards latter part of their lives. And I also learned about you that you're doing your PhD in leadership. And I'm very curious to check what message do you have for many women
who tend to feel that, oh, it's my career life is over, I cannot do anything more, or I need to just now look after whatever is available. So, or I don't need to take that risk, that move, if my intuition says that I can do something better. So what message do you have for those women? And tell me something more about your leadership PhD at this stage of your life where you're already a very successful entrepreneur.
Yeah. I wanted to do that for quite some time, Paris. I never had the, it wasn't the right timing, meaning there were too many other things going on, and I would not have put my best into it. So last year felt like the right timing, coming out of being in a very outward space for a few years with regards to the chapter and everything around it, conferencing, teaching. And I thought, I'd like to next year go under a rock for a little while and be in a quiet space. And that thought just evolved. And I thought, well, it's a good time then to start a PhD.
Wow.
So I'd stay under a rock. You know, life has its own ways of showing up. Things got busy again. And I did a leadership, I am in a leadership research space, and I think the biggest lessons I'm learning is that of myself. Kind of how to manage an outward space and an inside space, and how to show up still in the best possible way when you've got a million things on your plate. What felt like a million things on your plate, maybe it's all small little pieces. So I'm learning how to show up, I think, in that space of leadership, self-leadership, spiritual leadership. The thing I'm enjoying most, though, is that space of more learning, understanding, and application. It's applied leadership. So it's how would I apply all that into the environments around me and beyond, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But my message to other women, coming back to so I spoke about myself here, coming back to what you're asking, I would say there was a lot of unknowns there, and I again were the raw enthusiasm space, went ahead and did it. Being registered. So you're going to find yourself in a space where a lot of days you would have said to yourself, I should have not done this. It was so much of work. It was 2 a.m. mornings, which is what I'm doing, 2 a.m. mornings, and a whole day of work. And there are some days when there's no work at all, but there's reading that lasts forever. Mm-hmm. So the message from me to other women is, even if you're swimming and you're sinking and you're swimming and you're sinking, stay the path, stay it, walk the journey. It's not meant to be easy, so don't have the perception that things are supposed to be easy. Easy, discomfort, all is a part of a pathway to walk it.
Wow. And it's so inspiring to hear this and not to give it up at any point of time. I also, from this whole discussion about the self-belief and taking the risk and believing in your intuition and being open for uncomfortable conversations. Just a last question, because I know you told me that you have less time, and I just want to make sure that if I could ask you the last question, that being a successful entrepreneur and at a leadership level, what is one message that you want to give to a lot of women and men who are watching your video right now? What is that one mantra that can help them to be more successful in any fields of their lives, in any roles what they're playing today?
This is for men, women alike. There's something stirring up inside you that you want to do it. I think that's already an indicator of a pathway to follow. And then just ask yourself gently, what's the next thing I could do here? Or maybe it's the next step. Maybe it's the next thinking process. Maybe it's having a partner to think this through. what is the next thing you want to do? And do that thing. And do the next after that. Because then you find yourself at some point towards completion. And you look back and you'll say, this didn't feel overwhelming because all I did was the next step or the next thing on your mind. So if there's something stirring up inside you, that's enough an indicator to start walking a particular path. Whether it's researching the path or whatever, walk it. The worst thing you could do for yourself, a disservice to yourself, is to stay stuck in that space for too long, of thinking I want to do something and not doing anything about it. So if you're listening to me, ask yourself, what's the next step I could do now?
Wow.
And even if that next step is having a chat with a colleague or a coach or somebody, go ahead and do that.
Lovely. Cindy, it's very interesting to learn about the concept at a time. If people are watching and now they have questions, they want to reach you, okay, how they can connect to you, if you'd like to share anything that they can connect to you, if you're comfortable.
I think you can connect with me on LinkedIn. My email address, most welcome to use my phone number. So feel free to connect.
Okay, so on LinkedIn, probably your name would be Cindy. They can search with you as Cindy. And also the email ID, could you like to share the email ID? I can probably, it will come on the subtitles. Yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah, it's Cindy, CINDY at Lead Coaching, LEAD coaching.co.za. That's the name of my company, Leading Edge Coaching and Training.
Wow.
And Paris, what I want to leave with or say to you is very inspiring that you came up with this idea to interview 8 women. It really warms my heart thinking about the entire concept of your consideration and care in the way you do things. So I would like to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you so much. And I would like to again wish you happy International Women's Day to you, and thanks for inspiring people in the best capacity and creating difference in community at large, locally, globally. So it was really a pleasure seeing you, and keep inspiring and keep sharing your stories, and I'd love to learn more from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.